All right, lads, welcome back to another episode of Who's Got the Ball. Me and Shane both here in, I don't know what you say, 50% states. We both got some kind of a
Mm.
flu going, and we're miles away from each other, so we didn't get off each other. But yeah, I think it's just going around at the minute. But we're battling, we're battlers. We'll battle through. We're doing this for you on Thanksgiving. The turkey is waiting. Thanksgiving football on right now too, and we're recording. Shane, how good are we, huh?
Oh, do you know what? See, people just don't appreciate us. We're missing the game of the year here to the right hand side because every time I turn to look at it, there's nothing happening. I turn back around to look at you and they score a touchdown. So we're missing out on the game of the day. But anyway, you know what? It's the things we have to do. Speaking of another oval shaped ball, you were at the rugby at the weekend. That's massive, mad South Africa game.
That's one of the craziest games of rugby I've ever seen, and definitely the craziest I've been at. Like, I don't know what was going on. At times, everyone
Yeah,
around was just literally laughing. There was people laughing because they were like, we have 12 people now. We couldn't even keep up anymore. Like, Ireland have 12 men on the field. Oh, we have 13 again. Oh no, someone else got a yellow. We've got 12.
yeah.
South Africa got a yellow. Oh no, they're sending them back on with no review. Everyone's like, what on earth is going on? And
I
then
think
you could
there
see
was
from
8 seconds we were down to 11 men. I think it was 8 seconds when
that's
there was
just
the three
crazy.
yellows and the one red. Like that's just crazy. Like,
And at one point, it was like we were watching the scrum, and we were like in line with it. And we are like, yeah, this yellow for Porter is coming because he
yeah. Oh,
cannot
it was
scrum
coming. It
here
was
today
so far away.
whatsoever.
Yeah,
And like
yeah,
to make it worse, like they gave the yellow, the ref gave the yellow, played like a few more. They scrummed a few more times, then got the penalty try. Like, please
yeah.
just give them the penalty try up front. Don't like give us the yellow before that.
Strike it out. Yeah.
Ireland didn't deserve anything from the game. To be honest, I think they fought as well as they could, considering majority of the game they were down, but we're miles off South Africa. They didn't even play anywhere near the level they could.
That yellow card for RG Snyman that was overturned and he gave a
No
penalty
review.
instead. I know I thought the referee was abysmal for a lot of the game. Um, I'm not saying the yellow cards are wrong. I just think if you're sending off Ryan for what he did, but not even binning the South Africa 10, don't ask me to say his name. It's the whole alphabet. But
Yeah.
if you're not binning him for what he did on Timmy O'Brien on the wing, it's the same thing. And rugby is like people look up to rugby as this is how VAR should work. This is how this should
Mm.
work because it's so consistent. Everything's the same. The same decisions go every week, and then you see almost the exact same thing. Ryan was obviously a bit worse, but you see almost the exact same thing in the space of 10 minutes. One's a red card and the other is nothing. I also thought it was maybe a harsh red.
Uh,
Jack Crowley's yellow is so funny to me.
I
What are you
I don't
doing?
know
But
what is he doing there. I don't know why he thought he'd get away with that. The Ryan one, yeah, for me, I thought it was going to be a red. Like straight away, I was like, this might as well forget about celebrating this try because he's diving in head first into the ruck.
yeah,
Nonsensical. But yeah, I agree with you on the Tommy O'Brien tackle. That was definitely a yellow. And the more they showed it on the screen, the crowd was like, "Whoa!" And then the ref was like, "Oh, negligible" or whatever he said.
yeah.
After that, we knew kind of what way it was going to go. But at the same time, I agree with you that it's seen as a high standard of officiating. But refs in rugby often, if they want to make it all about themselves, they do it,
And
and
he
they love to
always
do it.
does. He always
And
wants to make it
so
about himself. He's a shocking referee.
yeah, so yeah, let's. I think it's at the point where we can both complain about the referee, and I think that even the South African fans were like, "This is ridiculous." But I think everyone knows that Ireland didn't deserve that game, so the
No,
loss
no, no.
was deserved at the end of the day. So what we touched on this week, we got a good show, a lot covered for you. We started off with the NBA, so touching on a Raptors team that are on a great run, really well deserved a chat about them, and then Shane's Rockets got a shout out because of their good run. We went into a bit of detail on them too. Moving on to the NFL Clutch Player of the Week. First time it was a defensive player. You'll have to listen to find out who it was. Then we asked the question, why does no one want to win the Super Bowl? That was kind of off the back of that Eagles collapse and what on earth some of the big teams are doing this year. Followed up by who's the worst team in the NFL. And we gave our answers to that. You'll have to give that a listen and find out. Following that on, then we got back to Gone Chance, gave our picks. We're getting better this season. We're getting closer and closer to getting that 5 pointer. I hope we're going to get one soon. Into the football performance of the weekend. Some honourable mentions because there was some good performances last weekend. And then we moved on from that and we talked about a little look at how Arsenal and Chelsea is going to go at the weekend because Arsenal were great last weekend and this is going to be a big one. Both teams were great midweek in
Mm.
Europe and two big wins. And we did wrap up then with the power rankings. So that is a big packed episode for you. Lots of topics touched on. Let's get straight into it. Okay, so let's start with two of the hottest teams in the NBA right now. We'll do one from the East and one from the West. We wanted to talk about this team because they kind of deserve a lot of shout for how much they've surprised everyone to start the season, and that's the Toronto Raptors. Second in the East, 15-3 record, and 9-1 in their last 10. They won last night against the Pacers. It was a very hard fought game. I thought the Pacers looked more like themselves with TJ McConnell out there, but Brandon
Mm.
Ingram just wanted the ball at the end, called game, and hit the game winner at the end, sent the crowd crazy. So that's the kind of way that they're playing this season. They're going to win games late. They're going to fight hard. Good defense, good offense. What do you think of them?
Yeah, they've been flying, and I did not see this coming. I watched them early in the season when they lost to the Rockets, and they just weren't very good. Like, they really weren't. They put up 121, they lost 139, 121, and they didn't look like they had anything going. And now all of a sudden they're on this 9 game winning run. I know they haven't played many good teams outside of they beat the 76ers and they beat the Cavs twice. Outside of that, it's been teams that they probably should be beating, but when you looked at the way they started the season, if you were going to tell me they were going to have a 9 game winning run at any stage of the season, I would have said not a hope. Not the team I watched against the Rockets anyway. And now they're averaging 119.1 points per game and only conceding 109. So they're plus 9.5 over this run of games as well, which is they're just absolutely flying. And as you mentioned him, Brandon Ingram is just on fire again at the moment. And it goes to show, like, it takes only one player to come back and start doing things for a team's
Mm.
fortunes just lift out of nowhere. We've seen it with the Pacers last night, as you mentioned as well. So he had 26 and 8 rebounds last night. As you said, he just called game last night, and they're really, really good. He scored 37 the game before to make the win streak 8 in a row as well. So he's just putting up numbers left, right, and centre, and the team are just pushing him from behind as well. They're helping him when they can, doing what they can. And I don't think this is a run that's going to last forever. I think they will go on another run where they could very easily lose 5 in a row. But at the moment, they absolutely deserve a shout out for what they're doing. Second to only the very, very good Pistons team. On that side of the jaw as well. So they're flying at the moment.
Yeah, I think like you're right in saying that it wasn't exactly the hardest run of games, but then again, like the East is not exactly juggernauts or anything like that. And to add to that point, the Cavs are probably the team that people expected to win the East and to go out and beat them and kind of
Twice.
show, yeah, twice and show what you're made of. That's a big statement. I think there's someone that probably will be consistent enough. I think just based on the fact of where they are in rating. So they've got the fifth best net rating in the league, according to advanced statistics, and fourth best rated defense, seventh rated offense. So they're in the top seven for both.
Mm.
And the fact is that they take care of the ball. They're second best in the league in assist ratio. So that's looking at how many assists you'd have per 100% possessions. And they're second best in assist to turnover ratio. So they look after the ball, they pass it around, they work well with each other, which is something that people, like, including myself, thought that that would be quite difficult with Brandon Ingram because it wasn't really certain how it was going to work with him. He moved there. He didn't play last year because of the injury. Everyone kind of ruled him out straight away as working. But he's kind of the piece that they needed almost because it seemed like RJ Barrett and Quickly and Scotty Barnes had a ceiling until they got him on board. And now you're looking at Scotty Barnes. He kind of had a tough time last season, but this season he's nearly averaging 20 points per game, 8 boards and 5 assists with three
Yeah.
combined blocks and steals. And those are not too far from last season's numbers, but things look a lot different when you're winning.
Yeah, 100%. Scotty Barnes in this 10 game streak when they're the one we're talking about now is 24 and 10. 24 points, 10 rebounds over this last 10 games as well. And he's the embodiment of what we were saying about Brendan Ingram as a star, but everyone is pushing behind him. Scotty
Mm.
Barnes is probably at the upper level of what he's able to do. And that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying, like, that's really, really good. If you're playing at your absolute peak and you're getting these wins and you're throwing out this point difference of 9.5, then, like, if you can do that consistency for a good lot of time, then they will be very, very good.
Yeah.
They're obviously getting playoffs now. I don't think I think they were in all of our preseason ratings anyway. I think they were. I'm not actually sure, but
I don't know if I can't remember if I had them. I need to check. I don't actually think I
any.
did.
I think we're safe to say that they are a good
Yeah,
team
I
now.
think they
So
will
I
at this
I think
point.
it'll yeah, I think that's one that we might have all gotten wrong. So, because if you didn't have him, I didn't have him. Because I'm pretty sure we all had the same teams for that side of
Yeah,
um,
I just
the
checked there. I
East.
don't
We
think
all
any
had.
of us had them, so
Okay, interesting.
we're all way off on that one. But
Well, yeah,
so,
it goes to show that they're shocking everyone. So,
yeah, 100%. I think the only thing then that I would look at that was maybe not as positive about the team. Not to say that it makes a whole lot of difference because it's going to happen when you have Brandon Ingram and Scotty Barnes. They don't take threes. Brandon Ingram just loves those mid rangers. So, but they're the
mm,
fourth least threes attempted per game in the league. I feel like RJ Barrett and Emmanuel quickly take quite a few, but I think they should take more because if they can spread the floor more, you'll get Brandon Ingram and Barnes inside. They'll get to the line because they can be isolated on people, use their bodies. And Grady Dick in his bench minutes has put up a good few as well. But outside of that, that's the only part that they're a little bit off, and that might come back to bite them when you get to the playoffs if you do play. We saw last year with the Celtics that was their kind of main way of playing, but they probably aren't going to be the contenders this year. But the Knicks are looking to incorporate that. The Cavs heavily rely on that. So it's going to be an interesting thing to watch play out. Do they incorporate that more? Do they even need to? So that's the only maybe question mark I have right now based on this run, which is yeah, testament to how well they've been playing. Really.
yeah, I think every team needs it. I do think they will need to incorporate it eventually. You can't just get away with just not doing it for whole seasons. They will have to work a way of getting it into it. But other than that, I kind of agree with you. There's very little negatives to say. Um, if they go on a run where they're playing like five good teams in a row, but we'll see what they're kind of made of then because they've come up against a lot of really weak teams.
Yeah.
But as I think I said it 2 weeks ago. Doesn't matter what team you're playing, you still have to go out there with the right mentality and beat them because any team can turn over anyone in this division, even the Wizards, which we saw when what they went and did to Yi and sorry, the Magic. That was the Magic, not the Wizards. But we can see the
Mm.
Wizards can win a game as well every now and again. So if
Yeah.
you just go out there and say, "Oh, this game is won," it won't be won. So yeah, I think they're really good. They've surprised me a lot, surprised you a lot, and that's why we just wanted to give them a mention this week for sure.
Yeah, and moving on to the other team, it's another team actually that is struggling with 3 point shooting. Not struggling,
Mm,
but well, to a point, but they don't take them either. They're actually the lowest in 3 points attempted per team in the league per game. Sorry, but that's the Rockets. They don't seem to need them at all either. Fourth in the West, 12-4, 8-2 in their last 10. Last night, brilliant comeback against the Warriors, down 17
mm.
at halftime or sorry, down 13 at halftime and win the second half by 17 points. Really impressed with Reed Shepherd as well in that game. First I really watched of him in a full game setting this season. So I thought, yeah, he was really really good. What have you made of them considering you're a Rockets fan?
I just love watching them at the moment. As you said, they haven't been taking trees, but I am kind of happy they are. There was a lot of times last season where Fred and Dylan Brooks were putting up trees that were absolutely ridiculous, and just they were never going to go down. So the fact now they're getting to the free throw line more, their mid ranges are perfect. Obviously, Kevin Durant makes a big difference when he's coming in. He's just sinking mid ranges for fun. There was a tree that Alperine Şengün took recently where he doesn't even jump. He just stands there and tries to float. It's like that has never worked for anyone in the NBA. What makes you think you can stand in a free throw line and not give yourself any sort of an arc? So I am glad that they're not taking trees. And even without that, their offensive rating is 124.2. It's the second best in the league. So imagine if they did add trees, like what kind of a difference that would make. But I don't think we have a 3 point shooter really outside of Reed Shepherd. He's brilliant for three, but Eamon Thompson can't shoot trees.
No,
Not
he's not
Durant.
focused on.
Shengun is hopeless from three. Josh Okogie is terrible from three. Stephen Adams is obviously he's not going to be able to shoot trees.
Yeah.
He's a big man, so it's only really Durant that you have any sort of phase in taking trees. So if he doesn't want to do it, that's absolutely fine. The thing for me that I think is brilliant is the rebounding. They're averaging 49.1 rebounds per game. They're just what Stephen Adams does on the glass is outrageous when he's on the court, and that's why I love and I hate the double big because they're a lot slower, obviously, when they have the two bigs out there. But the
Mm.
rebounds they get and the offensive rebounds in particular, are just unbelievable. And
Yeah,
they pass it really well as well. 25.3 pass per game, 9.5 steals, and 5 blocks a game. I just love them. I really do. This is the best team I've seen, obviously, since Harden and Westbrook were there. And
yeah,
like they probably won't win it this year, but I just get more and more excited every week. And they have dropped a couple of stupid games as well. Like there's, but you know what? Like you, unless you're obviously OKC, you're not going to go and win every single game, which they
yeah.
appear to be doing at the moment as well. So, 12 and 4 is a great start to season.
Yeah, I think the main difference between OKC and the Rockets is the depth. Like, I don't think there's too much of a
Mm,
fall off between the starting five and then the next two men up. It's just OKC of ridiculous depth. I think that might be the only thing that holds it back in the playoffs. But the start of the season has been crazy. Like you mentioned already, second best offensive rating in the league, second best net rating as well, only obviously
mm,
behind OKC. Highest offensive board percentage in the league, like 41% is just nuts. I think the next closest is like in the mid 30s. There's a big difference. And to be like plus 10.7 on the boards every game, I don't know if that's sustainable. But again, like you said, when you
no.
have those big men out there and that is your game plan, then it might well be quite close to that, what the number that is sustainable. So I think that's something that might be worth checking back on after about 30 games because I wouldn't be surprised if it's still pretty high. Now that is otherworldly like the way it is now, but I still think they can keep it close enough. The only worry I have is not as much the 3 point shooting because you're so dominant inside, you're so big, so strong. And I think Van Vliet, whenever he does come back, whether it's late in the season or next year, he gives you that
Mm,
along with Shepard. So that should be okay in the long run. I feel it's more so the turnover. Sometimes the team is quite lackluster with the ball, and I felt like that was a bit of
yeah.
a problem in the first half last night. It's quite low. The percentage of turnovers are quite high, should I say, at 15%. Like it's below the Nets and Pelicans. There is other teams like the Warriors and Lakers who are worse. So it doesn't signify a bad team. It's just something worth noting. Because I think there's so many positives. I think the team should really just be looking at the things where they can improve these marginal gains, like shoot five extra threes, bring that turnover percentage down by 2%. And that's how you beat an OKC or a Nuggets because you're going to beat everyone else without a doubt.
Yeah, 100%. And the one thing I said when we did our season preview of the Rockets was that they needed to bring up their 3 point percentage by, even if they brought it up by 2%, I think I said it's an extra
Yeah.
6 points a game or an extra 9 points a game or something, whatever way it was working out. And that makes such a difference. They obviously haven't done that yet, but they can bring that up. And as you said, bring down the turnovers because, geez, I watched the San Antonio Spurs, the Cup game live, and some of the turnovers in that game just were beyond belief. Kevin Durant was just dropping balls left, right, and centre. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. We actually couldn't hold on to it. And it was like, these are the kind of things that can cost you a season. I know it was dramatic. I think that was the sixth or seventh game of the season. It was never going to cost them the season at that stage. But
Yeah.
if that's the kind of thing you continue doing over and over in the season, it is going to cost you eventually. Obviously, they got away with it last night with a brilliant second half. I haven't actually watched that one back yet myself. I need to watch it this evening or tomorrow. I was working in the office today, so I didn't have a chance. But
Mhm.
I just think that I really do think they're brilliant. This that like last night, Reed Shepherd was starting in 31 points. Like,
Yeah.
is he
Or
finally someone that can? Is he someone that can finally be trusted? Can you start him over Josh Okogie now in the next couple of games? Because
It's
Josh
interesting
Okogie,
actually
while
that you say that because sorry to cut across you, but that was the main thing I want
you're
to
going,
ask you this question because it's going to fall into this. Do you think it would be beneficial to just keep starting a Kogi because he's not great, but he's not horrible, and then let Reed Shepherd continue to cook these second units? Because if you start him, you might lose out then on the bench contribution. Because last night he was +7 off the bench, and Shengun was minus
yeah.
14. So, that swayed the
Hmm.
whole thing. Whereas you might see a difference there if he starts every game.
Yeah, Josh Okogie was minus 13 as well, from the start, which is not great. Like I do understand the reason he is starting him, and it is for what you just said about Reed Shepherd comes in then and just goes off against the second squad. But if Win Durant is back, like why? There's only so long you can hold back Reed Shepherd as well when he's making such a difference in every single game. You have to start throwing him in from the start and
Mm.
just kind of seeing what he can do. If 31 9 and 5 is what he can do from the start, then you'd be wasting him, leaving him on the bench for and just giving him 20 minutes a game.
Yeah,
Um, some like I think when there is a fully fit squad, and I don't mean like Fred Van Fleet back as well. I think when Durant is back there, so you have Amen, you have Smith, you have Durant, you have Shengun, and then you have Reed, Okogie, or you have Stephen Adams to start. If you're picking one of those three, and
yeah.
unless you're going double big, then if it's between Okogie and Reed Shepherd, then it's no there's no competition there for me. I think it has to be Reed Shepherd. He's come on leaps and bounds this summer, and he looks really really good to start the season as well.
Yeah, I understand both sides of it. I just thought it'd be interesting to find out what you thought as a fan because I guess it works both ways. But I guess like if you did start him, then you could just move around the other minutes and stagger the way
Yeah,
people come out, take out KD earlier and then put him back in earlier, things like that. So there's always ways around it, and I guess if he does keep playing that well, he'll have to. And I like him and Jabari playing together as well because
yeah,
I think Jabari's pretty good from three. We forgot to mention him, considering his
yeah.
size.
We did actually. Yeah,
And
yeah.
him and Shepard on the floor together do spread the floor. And then if you have Shangun inside and KD from mid range, like the defenses won't know where to go because you can't play tight on someone. You also can't play zone because you're leaving space. So yeah, that's the team has so many things they can do. So I guess it's a good problem to have. The last thing I wanted to touch on is Ayman. Some of those shot making some of his shot making ability inside is unbelievable. Now he is like absolutely woeful from three, but he's still averaging 17 points per game, over 17, 7 boards and 5 assists. I think if he's so young, he's so good defensively. If he does add a three ball to his game where he even shoots 38% instead of 22, which is what he's shooting now, he could be an MVP in the future.
100%. I think he's absolutely superb himself and his brother because Oscar's had a great start for the Pistons when he's been on the court. He's missed a couple of games now as well, but like there was a couple of shots there for him that Amen took last night that he has absolutely no right to get even close to the basket, let alone actually get it in and getting his and one then as well on top of it. He's so strong. He's so determined when he like once the basket's inside, he's like, I'm getting there. I don't if you think you're stopping me, best of luck. You haven't a prayer because he's such determination and he wants to be an MVP. And I think that's the big thing about him is that he will bring the three ball in. He'll be like, okay, I can do this so well now. I can do this. I'm 21 or 22. If I can add a three ball, then what is stopping me from being a Shea Alexander? I'm not going to try. Or like, well, what's stopping him from getting to a level? I'm not saying he will reach that level because that's the elite of the elite. But if he gets anywhere close to it, then he is definitely, especially on this Rockets team, if they keep going on the upward trajectory, tra-
Yeah.
trajectory as well, then he'll absolutely
Jimmy
get there. If the
Butler.
Rockets yeah, like if the Rockets in the next 3 or 4 years are winning 60, 65 games a year and he's the star man, then himself or Şengün are going to get an MVP in the future.
Yeah, I think playing with KD is definitely going to help him learn some of the nuances of the game as well. So good all round, great start. I'm sure you're happy with that, and we'll have to
Mm.
check again as the season goes by. So let's move on then to the NFL. We've got big games on today as we're recording Thursday for Thanksgiving. Another game will be on Friday evening, Black Friday. So you'll be listening to this that morning, and that'll be a game between the Bears and Eagles. But right now, got on a second screen here. I've got the Lions and Packers. We're looking at currently 17-14. It's
Eminem.
halftime. Eminem is on the stage currently. So yeah, there you go. But I tried not to react as I watched Jameson Williams run in a touchdown as he sat on my fantasy bench because he
Oh
put up a
no.
zero for me last week. But anyway, no one wants to hear about that. Clutch player of the week from last week then. Myles Garrett. What an absolute animal.
This is a long time coming on our behalf. I think we've only talked about offensive players and clutch player of the week.
Mhm.
And what he did last week, then, like, I know I overlooked him because I completely forgot to put the clutch player of the week into my, of what I'd be doing this episode altogether. But once you mentioned him, I was like, yes, absolutely. 3 sacks, 5 tackles, and 2 forced fumbles last week. He has 18 sacks on the season. The record is 22 and a half. He's surely passing that now
That's
at this
just
stage.
getting
He's going to get there. Like, he's the best defense player in the league. The Browns are absolutely rubbish, but he helps when you have him on defense, and his ability to hit the quarterback is going to help you because it's stopping plays every single time. No one can get near him. He's so strong. Another man who's strong and determined, like Eamon Thompson, but he's determined to just hit people. and knock them over and put them on their arses. And it's the forced fumbles for me on top of it. Like it's kind of a very underrated side of him because it was for me anyway because I didn't realize how many he had. That was I think he has four forced fumbles on the season now.
That's a lot.
That's mad. Um, yeah, he's absolutely flying, and he's helping the Browns be mediocre instead of absolutely woeful.
Yeah, I think the last. So he's the first player ever to have 13 sacks in a 4 game span. So he's
Yeah,
done that over his last 4 games, which is nuts. The reason we couldn't give him clutch player of the week in the previous weeks is because the Browns just keep losing. You can't really be like,
yeah.
oh, you're clutch player of the
Plus,
week
they're the
when your
weekend
team is
you're
getting
losing.
whacked and you took a
Yeah,
massive payday to stay there. So the day that they do get the win and he contributes massively to that, then that's the day that he gets a shout out. Like you said, 22 and a half is the record. Like I think it's just inevitable that he gets there. He needs five over the last 6 games. Like the pace he's on, like I said, 13 and 4. He could have that done in 2 weeks. So
yeah. Could have it done
Michael
next week.
Strahan, yeah, 100%. Michael Strahan and TJ Watt will be having to hand over that crown. And so I think, look, it's a tricky one with the Browns because Shador, like, he played okay, but they barely allowed him to do much apart from that one
Mm.
good downfield throw. And now Shador suddenly thinks he's the best rookie quarterback to ever have played in the league. But that's another day conversation. I think Garrett probably needs someone better there long term at quarterback before he recurringly is on a winning team. But I think they deserve to take that win and celebrate it while they have it. Um, we looked at something else that is quite prevalent at the moment, and that's why does no one want to win the Super Bowl? I know that's a bit of a kind of a strange thing to say, but like it looks like that at the moment because so many teams are just falling apart. We're going to hone in on the Eagles' collapse against the Cowboys because that was massive. But outside of that, like the Bills lost again against the Texans in another game that they really shouldn't have. The Ravens start off the season slow. The Chiefs aren't even in the playoff spots. The Lions look average in most weeks. They really can't seem to get it going when they have more injuries on the offensive line. Packers are far from complete. They keep making hard work of
Yeah,
all their games. Bucks falling off a cliff. Darnold 4 interceptions against the Rams, Patriots, and Bears with the easiest schedules I've ever seen, and Daniel Jones is just coming back to the mean. Why do none of these teams want to just kick on? It seems like the Rams are the only proper scary team in the league.
yeah. The Rams are the only scary team, but the Patriots are on a 9 game winning run as well now. So they're
They
the
are,
other
but
team that seem to want to do it. But like
they make such
they've
hard
won nine
work
games in a row, and
against
I'm
the
looking.
Eagles, like
Yeah,
against
and
the
they're looking like
Bengals.
how. Like, how
Yeah,
have you won nine in a row? Because you don't look like a team that's won nine in a row. You don't fill me with confidence at any stage, unless you're playing the Jets. And sure, I'd beat the Jets at this stage. But there's no one who wants to do it. The Bills losing to the Texans last week was abysmal after what Josh Allen had done the week before, and it's our fault again because we had the clip ready to go, and we're like, we'll actually hold off on that one for a couple of days now. We've let this
yeah.
one die down before we praise Josh Allen again. But yeah, none of them are capable of putting together any sort of a run. That Eagles Cowboy game we're going to talk about in a second, but that's you just can't be 21 points up and throw it away like that.
Yeah,
I think it was 32 minutes they went without scoring, or maybe it was longer. They just completely fell apart. They got 21 nil up, like, oh, that's it. We're 21 nil up. This Cowboys team don't have it in them to mount any sort of a comeback. And voila, overtime. Bang.
it was like
Best of
actually
luck to it. Brendan Aubrey is
41 and a half minutes in total. They didn't
41.
score.
Yeah, that's
Right.
that's mad.
Just
That's
crazy stuff.
absolutely mad. The game's only an hour long.
Didn't score for like 3 quarters of it. Like they literally got
Yeah.
spotted
They were,
21 points at the start. Like
yeah. Yeah. Oh, just absolutely, yeah, just crazy. And like we talk every week about this, obviously, so we're getting ready for this. And every week we're like, who's going to win the Super Bowl? We're like, there's no one. Like outside, as you said, the Rams are the only team that looks serious, and even they at times look like they're falling apart at the seams as well. So there's times where you're looking, you're like, oh, maybe they don't want to win it either. This is the most open it's ever been. Last year, everyone knew the Eagles were going to do it. The year before, everyone knew the Chiefs were going to do it. It's just kind of like this is the first year in a long time that we've had any sort of a oh, there's actually a chance that someone is going to come out the blocks late here and just mount a charge. I don't know who it will be. Maybe the Rams, maybe won't be the Colts now because Daniel Jones has remembered who he was. It could be the Lions, yes, but sure, what we're watching here for the Lions isn't very good either. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I've still got
who's going to do it?
my 20-1 slip on the Rams
Rams.
sitting there. So I am hoping it is them because they were such an outsider at the start of the season. But I don't know. I think I'm the most confident in them by a mile, but I don't want to go too heavy on them because knowing our luck, they'll just get hammered by the Panthers this weekend if we do. Um,
Yeah.
say how amazing they are. So let's just wait and see there. But yeah, I think coming back just on the Patriots quickly before we go back into the Eagles game, I do think that they're a good team. I don't want to get that like misconstrued because I think they're well built
Mm,
and stuff. But like people have to realize who are going too heavy on them that they have like such an easy schedule. It's one of the easiest schedules ever. Like, and they're still have easy games coming up after this. Will Campbell has gone down injured now, so he might be out for the rest of the year. That's a massive loss. I don't think that they're
mm.
going to get win the Super Bowl. I just don't think they're coming out of the
They
AFC.
won't.
But yeah, they've had a good season, so they do deserve some props there. But I wanted to go on the Eagles' possessions in the second half, right? It was punt, 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 missed field goal, fumble, punt, and added into that was the fumbled punt return before that very last punt because that doesn't count as a possession. They never had the ball, they just fumbled it. So you're looking at two fumbles, really, four punts, and a missed field goal in the second half. Not scoring since 11:32 left in the second quarter. That is like one of the biggest collapses. It's the biggest um, throwaway of a lead by a Super Bowl winner the year after they won it since 2003. That's how big a collapse it was.
Mad. Like we have Evan in the group chat for the fantasy, and he was like, "Can we just get this game over now?" When it went to 21 nil, he
Yeah,
was like, "What's the point in even watching the rest of it?" Like,
big
because it was
Cowboys
just
fan.
it was written in the stars that they were going to go and win this 42-3 or something mad. Like, and they just stopped. They just literally just stopped playing football. That punt fumble is absolutely horrific. The one time you want your man to just take any sort of pressure off. And the fact he fielded it in the first place made no sense to me because he was so deep. Just fair catch it and just get back. What do you think you're going to do
It's
from
probably
10?
going to go
Like
into the end zone
running,
for a
yeah,
touchback anyway.
a
Like just leave
touchback,
the ball.
yeah. So what are you doing trying to pick it up and go with it? And outside of that, then like Jalen Hurts isn't very good at throwing the ball at times. I know, okay, he was 27 of 39. He got 289 yards, but there's times where he just never fills someone with confidence. Like he has really good receivers there, and Brown, Smith, Barkley's a good receiver. Dallas Goddard's not bad on his day. He had two catches for 20 yards, but there's times then where Hurst is just throwing these ridiculous passes and he gets away with it. He doesn't throw any interceptions, but there's times you're just thinking, like, how is that not an interception? How is that not an interception? And George Pickens has been some difference maker for this
Oh
Cowboys
my
team.
god,
Nine
unbelievable!
catches from nine targets, 146 yards, an average of 16.2, and obviously that one touchdown as well. He's made CD Lamb's life so much easier. Even though CD Lamb is obviously still wide receiver one, he had 11 targets, only four catches because he's marked a lot tighter than George Pickens is. And the, if you try and double mark George Pickens and leave CD Lamb, then it'll be CD Lamb getting nine receptions from nine targets as well. So like what you do? And then poor Jake Ferguson is just the poor man is only catching 5 or 6 for 60 yards on top of it. So if the two boys are in trouble, just throw it down to your safety blanket in Jake Ferguson as well. This is a team that should be a lot better than they are, I feel. Like
Yeah,
so no one's talking about them as any sort of Super Bowl winners because they just always find a way to let themselves down. But that was a massive win for them, especially confidence wise. That was a massive win for them confidence wise.
yeah, I agree. I think Dak is having an unbelievably good season as well. He deserves a lot of props for how he started the season off, but then they hit a little slump, but then he's come right back. I think when CD was out, he was still feeding Pickens, but it was a little bit more difficult.
Mm,
CD, sometimes his body language is a bit questionable. Like he kind of, I don't know, it's a bit hard to read. He looks like he's super happy but like passive aggressive at the same time.
yeah.
And it's kind of a strange one. I don't know whether he's not happy with Pickens getting extra targets, but he seems like he's still getting so many targets. He's actually just dropping the ball too many times. He had way too
Yeah,
many drops. I think he had like 4 of 11 receptions, but there was 3 or 4 drops thrown in there. In that Eagles game, even though they did get the win, but yeah, I think the Eagles fall apart was it's going to tell massively because tomorrow because I think this Bears team is probably not what their record shows. They've relied a lot on turnovers. They've won some games that I don't know how they won them. But
they shouldn't
I
have won.
think if
Yeah,
yeah, they shouldn't have. But then if you look at the Eagles, you'd expect them to go out and beat that team now tomorrow. They're 7 point favorites. But if they go out and throw that one away, this could be reminiscent of 2 years ago where they fell apart after starting the season so well and then they got blown out in the playoffs. It's just that kind of culture in Philadelphia with the Eagles. It seems like it's make or break. Like when everything is going well, it's amazing, but when everything is kind of piled on Sirianni, he may not be able to deal with it. And Saquon has not been the same beast he was last year, which makes everything way more difficult.
yeah. And if they go and lose tomorrow, all of a sudden they're 6-4, and the team that looked unshakable only 2 or 3 weeks ago all of a sudden looks like they can be got it. And then they have the Chargers. Okay, they have the Raiders and the Commanders. Then they have the Commanders twice actually.
I think they'll be
Between
eight
now and
and
the end of the
four,
season, but
so they'll still be in a
eight and
decent
four.
spot.
Sorry.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, they
but
still be
still,
in a
it is.
decent
It
spot,
will
but
be a big
they still
loss.
have the Bills to play. Yeah, and they still have the Bills to play. They have the Chargers to play, the Raiders and the Commanders twice. They'll probably win those three. So, like, we're not saying they're going to fall out of the playoffs by any stretch of the imagination, but
Mhm.
they'll look a far easier prospect in the playoff for anyone who takes them on if they keep going. And if they can't turn around from what they did in that Cowboys game, then a lot of teams will fancy their chances against them, especially
Yeah.
this Bills team.
Yeah. No, I agree. Staying on teams that fall apart. We're going to talk about teams that seem to fall apart every single week. So we have the question posed. We don't know what each other picked. I'll let you go first. Who is the worst team in the NFL?
This was very hard for me not to pick the Jets because they're the one I want, but I know they're not the actual worst team in the NFL because it is quite clearly the Tennessee Titans. Um,
Yeah.
it's not just this year; it's last year as well. Like last year, they were 3-14, 11 points scored, only 18 points a game, while conceding 27.1 points a game last year. 5,000 yards across running and rushing last year, and then they come into this season and they start 1-10, the coach sacked after 1-5, and then the intern comes in and goes 0-5. It's like, oh yeah, thanks for making such a difference there. Through the first 10 games this year, so their offensive yards is 3,525, so 3,525. Rushing yards is 1,300, passing yards 2,359. 51 of 126 on third down, which is awful. Surprisingly, their third down conversions, they're 10 of 13, but they're getting there so often because of how bad they are completing third
On
downs. They
fourth.
have to do something to keep going. On fourth downs, there, yeah, they're 10 of 13.
That's mad.
32
It's pretty good.
touchdowns. Yeah, it's unbelievable on fourth downs, but it's their third down is their absolute killer. They're just absolutely horrific. I was looking there and back, and so since 2022, they're 17-44. So this has been a long time coming, and it's not getting any better anytime soon. They're absolutely atrocious.
Yeah.
Cam Ward has gone into a bit of a clusterfuck, excuse my language, because he came out of college with such high hopes, and this is one of the things that kind of the way the draft is done annoys me. It's because the best player in college ends up going to the really, really, really bad team, and it just completely destroys their confidence for so long before they get a chance to turn around and actually do something good. They're dropped in at the deep end straight away. They don't get to do what Mahomes did and sit out for a year. Josh Allen as well, I think, got to sit out for the first year
Mm.
and kind of just watch it, learn what's going on. You're dropped straight in and say, okay, you were good in college, go and be a good NFL quarterback. It's not that easy. It's not easy for anyone to go in and do that unless your name's Tom Brady. Actually, I think he sat out his first year as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he
So,
does. Yeah,
like
until he got
everyone,
that
everyone
first
who's
injury.
actually anyone who's gone on and to be in the conversation of the greatest of all time has set out their first year. They haven't been just dropped in and said, okay, here, just go and shatter your confidence there and see what you can do in the first year, and we'll eventually get you some weapons. I don't think it's very fair.
Yeah. And also a point on those two is that they were picked like very late. Like, well, not very late, but Mahomes
Yeah.
was picked later in the first round, and Brady was obviously not picked in the first. So they were picked to
Mm.
teams who were already actually good or had good coaches. whereas this he was just dropped into probably one of the worst head coaches we've ever seen in Callahan. I actually do think he started off the season very, very poorly, but I'm liking a little bit more of what I've seen from him. He's made some brilliant, brilliant throws. And I think last week he made a really, really nice one off 1 foot back across his
I
body,
don't,
which
yeah,
is like very, at least that's the only positive thing. I actually That's why I picked the Titans the same as you, because the Raiders and Saints are not too far behind them in my opinion, but the Saints don't look absolutely horrendous. They've got a decent coach in Kellen Moore, and they have some good defenders. And then the Raiders, they might be slightly better with a new OC, considering they have Gino,
yeah,
Bowers, and Gentry there, and uh, the old OC, apparently, according to reports that are coming out today, was calling the wrong plays on the sideline that they didn't even have installed in their offense, and motioning players and tagging on players and not telling Geno Smith. So that might be why they were as bad as they were on offense.
yeah.
But back to the Titans, I think the only positive is that Cam Ward might be good in the future. But outside of that, I actually don't know what else. Like the worst points differential in the league, minus 136,
Mm.
15.2 points per game scored, like just over two touchdowns, and allowing nearly four touchdowns a game with 27.5 allowed. Like they're losing games by almost two touchdowns
Double
every
score. Yeah.
single week. Every single week. I just think there's barely any output from the defense. Like, and then you have next to no talent on the offensive side of the ball. Like you're looking at Calvin Ridley, was supposed to be their veteran receiver. He couldn't catch a cold before his injury.
Yeah.
To be honest, he's just it was pointless having him out there. It's kind of hard to know what coach or level of coach would want to take them over. I know you could say, oh, you have the young quarterback in Cam Ward, but it's a stinking situation, really, the rest of the roster. And still, there's a lot of people aren't 100% sure on Ward. So I actually don't know what top head coaching candidate in the next cycle would want to take that job.
Like, I don't think a college coach who's doing really, really well is going to come out of that college team and say, okay, I'll go in and fix this. Because if they go and do that and then they're sacked after 2 years again because they haven't been able to turn it around, they're back to being an offensive coordinator in the college and they're basically starting again. So, like, they're going to have to take a massive punt on someone who, like the Wake Forest coach or something, someone like that, who's going to have to just, they're going to just go mad and just hope something works out because, as you said, they have nothing. Um, I do like what Cam Ward has done as well, but as you said, he's the only one, he's the only bright spot they have there. He's thrown to no one. He's thrown to myself and you every week. We have as much chance of catching the ball as Calvin Ridley has, like so. Yeah,
Yeah,
I feel for him, and I do not feel for this organization because they've done this themselves.
yeah, 100%. I agree with you. To to come on a bit of play by play here by the Thanksgiving game. I'm sure if you guys are watching it, you'll know what happened. But crazy call by Dan Campbell. I know he goes for it on fourth, but to go for it and run it at midfield, fourth and three,
Yeah,
after just getting stuffed on fourth and two, then the next play, Watson gets a deep, deep touchdown off Jordan Love. This game is a bit of daylight now, 10 points between the sides, but
10 points.
that's
Yeah,
all we've got for our NFL segment. Let's move on to gun chance. All right, so last week we both had two right. We were both very, very close to 5 pointers. I had Newcastle come up for me and the Browns come up for me as well. Thank you, Myles Garrett. And then you had the Texans. No, sorry, what am I talking about? You had
Newcastle as well and
Newcastle
Everton.
also and Everton, who beat United with 10 men. Let's not talk about that.
Yeah,
We both had the Colts then to beat the Chiefs, and somehow Daniel Jones and the Colts transpired to throw away their lead and lose in overtime. So neither of us got a 5 pointer, but the score is 11-10 right now. To me, I'm still 1 point up, so we're adding wins these last few weeks. We're getting into the swing of things. I'll give mine first. The reason I said Texans is because I have the Texans this week. I've got the Texans to beat the Colts. I just think Daniel Jones is going to continue to regress. He has a broken or a fractured fibula. He's going to keep playing, I think, despite that. But that's not good because Will Anderson Jr. and Daniel Hunter are going to absolutely light him up. So
Hmm.
that's not good. 7-4, the Texans are. We've got the Arizona Cardinals then to beat the Bucks. I think the Bucks are so badly injured. They just continue to lose games at the moment. They're on a massive skid. They were I think they were 6-1 or five and 1, and now they're 6-5. And the Cardinals are pretty good on deep balls, and racking up passing yards, and the Bucks cannot stop anyone in the passing game at the moment. So I've gone with the Cardinals there at 5-4. Third one, the football was pretty hard. It was either Burnley away to Brentford, and I didn't think that was going to come up. So I went with West Ham to put the final nail in Arne Slot's coffin, 10-3 at home to Liverpool on a three-game unbeaten run with West Ham are at the moment. So that's my three, and it's 25 or 26-1 for those three picks together.
Yeah, so we actually have two the same again this week. I have the Texans at 7-4 to beat the Colts as well. I
Mm-hmm.
also have West Ham to beat Liverpool. Um,
Oh,
I literally think every single team in the world will beat Liverpool at the moment. We'll talk about it more when we come on to Forest in a couple of minutes, but I have West Ham to beat Liverpool as well, which, like, this is the first time in my life I've ever said that Liverpool are going to go out and lose a game, but it's so Liverpool with the way things are going. Jesus, what they did last night was absolutely abysmal. And if West Ham come out with any sort of fight, Liverpool don't have it at the moment for some reason. It's completely gone. So I thought a 10-3 is a great price. Liverpool are somehow 7-10 favourites to win that. And finally, I'm going back to back on Everton. Everton are 11-4 to beat Bournemouth, who are evens.
it's a nice one.
Everton just, yeah. So Everton look quite decent at the moment. So I've gone with them again.
Yeah, good to ride the hot hand for something that just came up for you. Might as well go
Mm,
back for it again. I'm surprised to hear you going against Liverpool because I don't think I've ever heard you do that in this.
I'm just
But
sick of
yeah,
them.
it's just the run is pretty bad. And let's just move straight on to best win or best performance of last weekend in the Premier League. We've gone with Forest beating Liverpool as the best one. I think just Forest to go to Anfield and win 3-0 is absolutely massive for them. We'll look at their side of things first. Couple of big early chances for Liverpool. I think McAllister should have scored that chance. Anderson getting a nice clearance off the line. He's been amazing for Forest this season. Horrible set piece defending once again from Liverpool leads to the first goal. I think that goal that was ruled out for Jesus, I don't think that was a handball.
No,
So Liverpool kind of avoided one there. But whatever was said at halftime then didn't really resonate because straight away, Forest, straight off the bat, in that mentality to go straight away and go, we're getting a goal, we're shutting this down, we're getting that 2-0 lead. They have to be commended for that. And I think good start to life in general at Forest for Sean Dyche. 3 wins, 2 draws, and a loss in all competitions. 7 points from their last 12 possible in the Premier League. So they're out of the bottom three. The league is so condensed, they're actually only 7 points from the European spots.
yeah.
So yeah, fair play to him for turning things around.
Yeah, he's done a phenomenal job when he went in there. He went into a really broken team as well after what Andrews after putting him through over his
Mm,
41 days, whatever he was in charge there. And Dyche has just come in. Morgan Gibbs White has said that he just feels so much happier with Dyche in there. Clearly, like, Sean Dyche has always been a really good man manager. I think that's
yeah,
always been clear to see, but he's gotten this team. He's walked into a squad of players that are absolutely perfect for him. Elliot Anderson is just a constant workhorse. He'll be starting for England at the Euros, I've no doubt. Himself and Declan Rice will be that midfield too for him. He's absolutely superb. It wasn't just the McAllister block. He had 2 or 3 blocks in the first half alone that were goal saving. Obviously, the McAllister one's the one that sticks out because McAllister should score,
yeah.
especially when the keeper's out of play as well. But that's just some block. And then you put it up to their forward players. Jesus is strong, quick.
Mhm.
Dan and we talked about him when he made that signing up from Bologna over the summer, and he's hit the ground running as well. And then Hudson Odoi is coming back. Gibbs White is just the metronome. He's just in there, just makes everything tick
Such a
over.
good player.
Superb. And then their two fullbacks have been superb from the last couple of weeks as well. Nico Williams and the goal scorer, the second goal, I can't remember his name, but
Savona.
it's Sabona, yeah. Lovely finish as well, but it was fullback to fullback again.
Yeah, yeah.
Liverpool.
That was a system that worked, and they knew that was going to work against Liverpool. They
Yeah,
exploited it. I think, yeah, Forest are on a nice, I think, path now because I think with Sean Dyche, that's the squad was built for a manager like him because it was built for Nuno and they're quite
100%.
similar. So I
Mm.
think they're going to do well now. I think they will turn it around. But Liverpool on a really really bad run. I think another big loss last night against PSV in the Champions League. I know we're not really focusing on them this week, but what's your if you were to sum it up in as short as sweet as you can, what's your feelings on the team right now?
They look so badly coached. No one seems to know what they're doing. No one wants to run backwards. Once the ball gets turned over, the midfield just stays in position. There was a screenshot I saw from the game last night in particular where Kirkis makes a break down the left. So he gets the ball, we'll say, kind of halfway between the 18-yard line and the halfway line. And when he gets from where he was past the halfway line, no one inside him has moved. None of the midfield have moved. None of the other defenders have moved forward. It's like they're all it's actually like Sabuccio. That's actually the best description I have of it. They're all stuck in the spot. None of them go anywhere. None of them move anywhere. And then Kirk lose the ball because he's no one to pass inside. They're so easy to defend against because Gakpo and Salah do the same thing. They cut inside and lose it every single time. Um, there was this Alexander Isak. I think he received no passes into his feet against Forest when he was on the pitch. There was no passing network where he was involved in it. Um, why are you buying the best number nine in the league and then just forgetting he exists? Dude, how does that make sense? I think the last two half times, whatever's happened in that dressing room, are possibly the worst half times in the history of this football club. Because they've come out after half time in both those games, and it's like
Mm.
they've all been whipped around the dressing room because none of them are coming out with any sort of urgency. They finished the first half last night and they were brilliant. Um, they should have been leading going into half time. They come out after half time and all their heads have dropped. It's like that should have been like that doesn't make sense. How are you going in there and losing the head instead of going in there and everyone is G'd up, coming back out. Let's keep going. We're doing. Let's keep doing. We're doing for 10 minutes. We'll get a goal. They come out to concede again, and Jesus, that third goal, Kanate. What on earth is he doing? I don't know if you watched the highlights yet. I know you're watching Arsenal, but
Yeah,
this is the man who wants 300 grand a week. So he thinks he's as good as Van Dijk. You can't do that. You can't.
I
No, Van
mean
Dijk is nothing to be. He's not
it's a
exactly a
coaching
yardstick at the moment
mistake
either.
to keep picking somebody.
A hundred
That's
percent. But
playing that hard.
there's no one else. They don't have another centre back to put in there. Leone's injured. Gomez injured. Unless you're going to drop Gravenberch in there, and then all of a sudden
Mm.
you've no midfield options then. So, like, the injuries aren't an excuse for the run they're on because everything gets injuries. We were very lucky last year; we got absolutely no injuries. But
Yeah,
to lose both your right backs and your third choice centre back, meaning you have to play the one that's so clearly either out of form or out the door, basically, because he thinks this move to Real Madrid is done. Like, he shouldn't be your first. The Gay transfer not going through looks worse and worse every week as well. But we'll talk about it
yeah,
more next week when West Ham beat him.
it is frustrating. Like, but again, the amount of money they spend, I think
Yeah, it's
they
criminal.
could have allocated funds to centre back if it was that important. They obviously tried to sign one, but they
100%.
put everything else first. So
But
like
the
the one note I have is the talent is there. All it points to is bad coaching
the
because
coaching, yeah.
last year, like it was clearly just hero ball with Salah. Like the system was kind of similar to the way Klopp had them playing, but then it was like platform Salah, let him go, and now everyone's like, oh, that's what we did last year. He's not playing well. What we do now? Like
But they,
it's
they don't. They I don't know what they're doing on the training ground because, like, we brought in a set piece coach and a fella that does the set piece videos. I can't remember what his job title is. It's something made up anyway. We conceded no set pieces by this time last year. Now we've conceded nine, and we brought in a set piece coach that's meant to coach this. So clearly he's not doing his job. There's
yeah,
no attacking patterns. I know their DXG is great. We have like 6.5, 6.34 to 5.54. We've lost those games 10-1 over the course of
yeah.
the last three
Doesn't
games.
matter
So
at
the
that
ball's
point.
not going into the net. Doesn't matter. Like XG, sometimes I love it. Sometimes I'm like, oh, just get it out of my face because it's. I don't see where Liverpool should have scored six goals in the last three games, other than the McAllister chance and
Yeah,
geez, Gakpo's header last night as well. But like they just don't like. There's everything is off the cuff. There's no attacking play. Um, all the set pieces are just thrown into the box. Like there's no. Do you know the way like Arsenal do the move where they all start the back post, come into the front post, and they win the header. Like I praise
kind of
Arsenal a
closing
couple of
people
minutes now,
down
which
and
I hate doing, but clearly it works. We just put Van Dijk on the front post, Kanati on the back post, and hope the ball finds one of them. Like that's not how you score a set piece. Clearly, 'cause we haven't scored one in this season. Like so,
yeah. I
yeah,
know we said
they're driving me insane at the moment.
we did say short and sweet. That was more like long and angry, but you
Yeah, I
have to
apologize.
sometimes you have to let it out. Um,
I,
I think
I have one more point to make before we move on.
go on.
I ordered Liverpool jerseys 7 weeks ago when
Okay.
Liverpool were good, and when they arrived, Liverpool were absolutely abysmal, and now I can't wear them anywhere. I got the home and the third and long sleeve,
Oh
and now
Lord.
they're so crap that they're stuck in the wardrobe. Took 7 weeks to come. We'd won six in a row when I ordered them. I think we'd won five in a row when I ordered them, and I got them, and now we've lost.
Oh Lord.
9 in the last 12 or whatever it is. So my
Yeah,
fault again.
that's
We should cancel the podcast. Liverpool might be good again.
yeah, I think we had a few honourable mentions to throw in with the big wins on the weekend. Newcastle beating City, Baltimore and Barnes could have had that game 3-0 at halftime. They had unbelievable chances, but then Foden did miss a big one. I think
Mm.
Barnes more than made up for his misses. Guardiola a bit of a head loss too, which is always funny. Everton beating 10
Yeah,
Man United. Uh, yeah, I think that was just. I don't want to take up airtime too much and going in on United here now after we just did have that bit on Liverpool. But at
yeah.
the same time, I do think that that was one of the worst performances I've seen in a few years. Is just like a complete lack of effort, and then for
It was
Amarim to
worse
come
than
out.
Grimsby, I thought, for
It
me.
was. I did think so too. And for him to say, "Oh, it's the I'm worried about the signs of last year and we're miles off and stuff." Now, come on. I've given him as much benefit of the doubt as I can now at this point. I'm a bit sick of listening to him, and I'm a bit sick of yeah, you can flow your system around a bit when other teams have the ball and you change, but then in a game where it's crying out for stop playing five at the back, let's fully go into a different system. He doesn't do it, so yeah, that's very frustrating. And then Arsenal dismantling Spurs. Spurs didn't create a single thing. The goal was super, but out of the blue, and it seems like their attacking philosophy is just try and do things out of the blue, and then suddenly they put three past PSG last night and still managed to lose 5-3. So they're an
So
interesting.
Spurs.
Any
So,
thoughts
so
on
Spurs.
those three honourable mentions?
I thought Arsenal were absolutely brilliant. We don't need to touch on that one too much because we're going to talk about our game of the weekend now in a second. So I'll just kind of brush over that one. Spurs were abysmal, absolutely abysmal. That's all I'll say. And that they were embarrassing to be honest. Imagine United showing up against City and doing what Spurs did. Ruben Amorim would actually he'd be the fans would go on the pitch and pick him up and walk him out of the
Yeah.
stadium and walk him back to Lisbon. Like you wouldn't get away with it. I thought Everton were really, really deserving. As bad as United were, I thought Everton were really, really good,
Oh, they were
especially with
brilliant.
10 men. They worked so hard. I didn't agree with Neville and commentary saying that the keeper should do better on the goal. I think it's just an absolutely world out of this world finish. I know you turned the
He's up.
commentary off at half time,
He's
so
always so
that,
annoying.
that's
I can't listen to him.
yeah. And then what was the other one? It was Newcastle. Newcastle just deserved that as well. I can't remember what, but there was something on the clash of that because I wasn't watching it. It must have been the Ireland game
It
actually,
was the
maybe.
Ireland
But
game. I actually had to watch it back because I was at that game. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So I was kind of flicking over and back, but I love when Pep loses his head and then puts out a completely rotated team against Leverkusen and loses as well. So hopefully they go on a Liverpool run now and
uh,
of some kind.
yeah,
But
that was very
yeah,
funny.
if Joe, to be fair, it was our hardest weekend of picking the game of the weekend. To be honest, it really was. So
Yeah, there
it's
was a
good that
lot
we
of
get to
good
talk about Arsenal a bit
performances.
now.
Yeah, like you mentioned, we're going to preview Arsenal's game. So they're away to Chelsea. Should be a great game. It's between first and second in the Premier League. I'm really looking forward to this one. I messaged you during the Arsenal and Bayern game last night. That was the best game I've watched all season. Just two teams that really knew how to adapt to different situations. And Arsenal, they were under the cosh for a lot of periods, but they played their way out of it. And credit to them, they deserved the win in the end for kind of the gutsiness that they had in the second half to go, all right, we were pinned back in this in the first a bit, we're going after this one now in the second. And to score three goals without having Gyökeres, Odegaard, Havertz, even if you want to point to Gabriel Jesus, Trossard coming off injured, I think they did very well there. And Chelsea obviously beating Barcelona was brilliant. I know Barca had a red, but they were good value for that win. They should have been up by even more by the time Arejo got sent off. So I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I'm just going to make me sick. Everything I'm going to say in the next 10 minutes. But Arsenal are the best team in Europe at the moment. I don't think there's any denying it now. They're not just about the set pieces anymore. Like they were in the start of the season, they were so reliant on set pieces. But now, like you can now actually, if you ask me what an Arsenal goal is, it's the goal that Eze scored, or it's the goal that Trossard scored against Spurs at the weekend. It's just
Mm.
fluid, intricate play, one ball over the top, and then to finish it. Eze has been absolutely superb since he's gotten his feet under the table. He's absolutely brilliant. How Marino is a number six and a really, really good false nine is he's the new Gary Doherty of the Premier League. Like it's where is this come from? Like I didn't obviously watch that game last night. I was too busy raging at Liverpool, but I thought they were brilliant against Spurs. Eze was brilliant against Spurs, and they're just so solid. On top of everything, Declan Rice is out playing out of his skin, and whoever they drop into that back line just
Mm,
knows their job so well. They put in Mascaro last night,
yeah,
and it actually looked like it was Baby Gabriel, the same way Hincapié
he
looked
was
like Baby
brilliant.
Gabriel at the weekend as well.
Yeah,
So they're just so strong. They're the kind of team. It's like who was it? I was talking about someone recently. It's Joe. It's like OKC. Um, the players that come off their bench don't make a massive difference in starting 11.
mm,
So Madueke has made me shut up this year because he's been actually quite good when he's played as well. I thought he was absolutely abysmal at Chelsea last year, but he's a really good backup to have for Saka because he's the same kind of thing. He just cuts inside. He can use his left. He can go down on it right and get it across as well. He's a wicked whip on him when he's eventually allowed to take a free kick as well. So yeah, their depth is what's making the difference to them, and they have to win the league now.
yeah. I think Madueke was a good sign, and I didn't think it would be at the time, but it
Yeah.
works out very well for them, and all that depth they have now in the back line is actually working out to their advantage. Because they can rotate in and out centre backs, and they all look to know the job, like you said. The one player that stood out to me is Zubimendi last night. He was unbelievable.
Mm.
I think he helps them go from a kind of a more passive team that requires set pieces to a team that constantly moves the team up the field at ease, at will. He's like a metronome on that team. He's just like completely aware of everything that's around him. He receives it from Raya. He looks over both shoulders. He knows who is where. The centre backs know when he's going to come back and receive the ball. He's just amazing to watch. But a little bit on Chelsea, a similar player, not maybe not a similar style, but in the same position as Enzo Fernandez, who I thought was super against Barcelona.
Mm.
And I think that'll be a nice battle in midfield between Zubimendi and Enzo. Just kind of the two workhorses in the teams. 6 points separate the sides. I think a Chelsea win would really open the league up and make the title race a little bit interesting. But if Arsenal win, I feel like they're home and host basically already by Christmas because
Yeah.
they're just going to keep picking up more wins after this one. And if they come out of this run of a North London derby with Spurs, a Bayern Munich game, and a Chelsea game with 3 wins, who's going to really stop them at this point? And especially with no Cole Palmer, I think it's going to be very hard for Chelsea to overcome this kind of a challenge.
Yeah, just a quick word on Zubimendi. So Liverpool obviously linked with him last summer, and the deal was done, and then he pulled out. I know Gravenberch had an unbelievable season last year, but Zubimendi is something Liverpool are really missing on this run of absolute nonsense, where they were like, imagine having him in the midfield instead of
Yeah,
McAllister or something, and Gravenberch up where McAllister is, he'd make such a difference. But Chelsea, or sorry, if Arsenal win this tomorrow, it's going to be like Liverpool last year. Everyone knew Liverpool had the title wrapped up last year by Christmas. Sorry, in November. Saying when Liverpool beat Man City in November last year, everyone's like, oh yeah, well that's that done. If Arsenal win tomorrow, everyone's been like, yeah, well that's that done. That's Arsenal waltzing their way to the title. If they have the mentality first, we'll see. But I really think they do. For
yeah.
Chelsea, outside of Enzo Fernandez, I absolutely love Michael Caicedo. I think he is unbelievable. He's probably the best, like out and out six in the league at the moment.
He's
There was
worth the
one
money for
tackle he made.
Christmas.
Yeah, oh, 100%. He's the one tackle he made on Tuesday where he was coming back and kind of it was in from the side, and it's one of the ones that always gets called for a foul. But he got all ball, didn't touch the man. I was like, how on earth have you made that tackle coming from
Mm,
almost semi behind to get your foot around, get the ball, keep it, and get the pass off? He's
yeah,
absolutely brilliant, and he's another man who, when you give him a half an inch to shoot, he'll find the top corner like he did against Liverpool earlier in the year as well. He is something else, and another one that Liverpool had the deal agreed and lost out to. I know it's looking back now, it's like, geez, it'd be great to have them in the midfield. But we did win the league last year with the midfield we have, so I can't be too kind of looking lovingly at players and other teams
yeah,
here. But like having Azil Mendy in this Liverpool team now would make such a difference. I think Arsenal are going to win this. I think it'll be 2-1 to Arsenal.
yeah. I think one more point I wanted to go on was before
Oh
I
yeah,
give
sorry.
my prediction was just that. No, you're good. You've got your 2-1. I'm gonna just say that the statistics behind, I know you talked about XG earlier, but it's a bit crazy. Like, um, Chelsea doing very well, obviously 21.96 XG created. So that's the most in the league. But they're playing a team with the least XG against in Arsenal with
Mm.
6.24 against them. That is absolutely nuts. Like 6.24 XG against you this far into the season. The closest is Man City, and they almost have 13 against. It's
Yeah,
just nuts. And to look at these two teams, they've both scored a lot of goals, like 24 for Arsenal and 23 for Chelsea. I think the two goals Arsenal conceded then against in the last two games, Spurs is like a long range or just complete freak, and then the Bayern goal was absolutely magical. So if Chelsea are
yeah,
going to
what a goal.
score, it's going to need something magical, which I think Estebao can showed that he can produce against
Mm.
Barca. What a goal he scored there too. So I actually have the exact same as you. I'm going with 2-1. I think Chelsea will produce one little bit of magic, but Arsenal are just too powerful, too strong, and too solid. So I'm going with 2-1 as well.
Yeah, it's
Um,
the first time for Arsenal that they really seem to believe in what that dope that's leading him is saying. I think
can't call
normally
him that
he's like,
anymore.
I still think he's, I still think he's a spoofer, but he really does. So, like, as I was saying earlier, Liverpool looks so badly coached. This Arsenal team looks so well drilled. It's unbelievable. It's almost a Man City level of like every single player knows how to play. They don't give the ball away. They don't let shots away. I think they went 4 games in a row without conceding a shot on target even. So any wonder their XG is so low as well. They're unfortunately the best team in Europe. They're going to make me sick. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, no,
Both
I
two
think
two
I agree with
ones.
you. I agree with you 100%. They are probably the best team in Europe right now, and they proved that last night against Bayern, who hadn't lost all season. So people are making that
Yeah.
argument. Quick update on the score before we move into the power rankings: 31-21 to the Packers right now. That just as we were talking about that, the Packers had a big fumble near the goal line, but they managed to scoop it back up. So they scored a touchdown on that drive. We're looking at Jared Goff now trying to drive the Lions down. This has been an entertaining second half from what I can see out of the corner of my eye. Let's see if the Lions can grab another one before the fourth quarter starts. So power rankings. Do you want to go first here?
Yeah, so last week I had the Pistons, OKC, Patriots, Arsenal, Colts, and Man City. A couple of changes this week, and to continue with me getting sick in the bag, Arsenal have gone to the top of my pile here. So Arsenal are number one. OKC stay second. Pistons dropped to third. With that, the Patriots dropped to fourth. I brought the Broncos in instead of the Colts. Broncos are now on an 8 game winning run. So, I mean, if that's not hot, then I don't know what is. And then rounding out my top six are Villa, who have 4 wins in their last five.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I like that list. I've gone similar at the top to what I did last week, but I changed up the kind of bottom half. So I've still got OKC, Arsenal, and the Rams. I just think that OKC, that was a woeful play by the Lions. They just try to try to like double pass, and Jared Goff got lit up.
Oh,
So I could not laugh at that. OKC top, they just keep winning. Arsenal in second, best team in Europe in football, and definitely the best team in England. The Rams third, as we mentioned earlier, they're kind of the most powerful of all the teams in the NFL. So I've them third. The Pistons, I've moved them up a spot from last week. I had them in fifth. That's because Man City have dropped out altogether, and I think going
yeah.
on a 13 win streak for the Pistons, they deserve to still be in here. One loss doesn't change that. Patriots, as I mentioned earlier, very good. Even though they do have an easy schedule, they're in my power rankings now. That's because they've got the best record in the league, so I had to put them in there at fifth. And then sixth is Chelsea. They're on a great run at the moment and beating Barca really kind of wrapped up who they really have been over the last month or so. So that's my top six: OKC, Arsenal, Rams, Pistons, Patriots, and Chelsea.
Lovely.
So that's another week done. We're gonna run away here and watch the fourth quarter of this game. So throw it to you to wrap it up quickly.
Yeah, thanks, lad. So, as you might be able to tell, neither of us are at our full strength this week. So we're just we got through it, and we do hope you enjoy it, and just keep listening. The numbers we're seeing on Instagram, the reels and stuff, are absolutely unbelievable. But so many people, I looked last week, it's 66% of people who view our reels aren't following us. So if you
Hmm.
would just hit that button, it takes you 2 seconds, and you can mute us then if you want. But just hit that button, and just it will really help if you can kind of just help get the follower count up and to see what we can do, because it's a lot of effort every week. It's there's a lot that goes into it behind the scenes as well. James puts in an outrageous amount of work behind with the graphics and all that kind of stuff, and I put together the TikToks. Well, James pulls them and I put them up, but there's a lot goes into it. So just any sort of a like or share, and we really appreciate it, and we will see you next week. Thank you very much.
Nice one, lads. See you next week.
Welcome back to another episode of Who's Got the Ball with Shane and James.